What are the Hadith? Hi, I'm Dr. James Holt, and the Sunnah is what all the Muslims of Muhammad's time supposedly saw and followed and passed on to the next generations. These have been documented in the Hadith. The Hadith are believed to be the words, the actions, the silent approvals of the Prophet Muhammad. In Sunni Islam, they may also draw on Muhammad's companions, while in Shia on the family, the Ahlul Bayt of the Prophet. For many, they are used in the formulation of law, in helping understand the message of the Quran and the will of Allah through the example and interpretation of the Prophet. There are various approaches to and understandings of the Hadith within Islam. For a small number of Muslims, the Hadith are an example of shirk, as the Quran is all that's needed. As one commenter on my TikTok suggested, they believe the Hadith place the Prophet above the Quran and therefore in the way of true worship of Allah alone. They would see many, if not all, of the Hadith as fabrications of his followers to support their particular approach to Islam. Indeed, Joseph A. Islam distinguishes between Sunnah and Hadith, suggesting that the Hadith are much later. He said, whereas the Hadith is an oral communication that is allegedly derived from the Prophet or his teachings, the Sunnah, which means quite literally the mode of life, behaviour or example, signifies the prevailing customs of a particular community or people. A sunnah is a practice which has been passed on by a community from generation to generation en masse, whereas the hadith are reports collected by later compilers, often centuries removed from the source. He continues, a practice which is contained within the hadith may well be regarded as sunnah, but it is not necessary that a sunnah would have a supporting hadith sanctioning it. For those Muslims who accept the hadith, they are sayings that are hugely important in the way that they live in submission to Allah. And there are two important aspects of a hadith. The report, the matn, which is the saying or action in the chain of narrators, the isnad, which outlines the hadith's provenance. The isnad helps a person be sure the hadith actually came from Muhammad. There are different collections. Within Sunni, there are generally seen to be 6 books, though some schools differ. There's Sahih al-Bukhari, Sahih Muslim, Sunan Abu Dawud, Jami al-Tirmidhi, Al-Sunan and Al-Sugra and Sunan ibn Majah. Within Shia, 12ers will generally use Kitab al-Kafi, Al-Faqih, Tadib al-Hakam and Al-Itzibar. There are many hadith that are shared, but some are particular to specific traditions. For example, Kitab Sulaym ibn Qais, used by some Shia Muslims, is rejected by many Muslims and scholars because of alleged anomalies and anachronisms. The Hadith are important for the vast majority of Muslims in understanding how to apply the teachings of Islam as exemplified by Muhammad. They are not, however, a settled matter within the Muslim community.